Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We will just give it a minute to get everyone into today's webinar. We've got a quite packed agenda for today, so we will move forward fairly quickly with this, but we'll just make sure we've got everyone in before we start. So if we just give it another sort of 30 or 40 seconds, then we can move forward. Okay, we still have people entering, so we'll just give it a minute more. Okay, the numbers looking like it's starting to stabilize. I'm sure we'll have a few late entries into the webinar, but we will be sending out a recording afterwards. So if anyone does miss the first few minutes of it, then they'll be able to watch later. Next webinar, next slide, please, Naomi. So today we have a few different people on the webinar. We're having a panel discussion today. So we have 5 members of faculty from the University of Leeds who will be here to answer your questions. Before that, they will be going through some of their specializations themselves, introducing themselves to you, and also talking about the modules that they overlook, as well as our panel from the University of Leeds. We also have a couple of people from Coursera. My name is Matthew. I'm one of our senior enrollment counselors. We also have Naomi and Ankit, who are here to help with answering questions and helping with today's webinar. So next slide, please. So today we'll be going through the data science market, the programming for data science, statistical methods, exploratory data analysis, and then I'll be introducing you to our panel. We will be answering questions at the panel discussions. So if you could please write any questions you have into the Q&A box, then we will be able to answer those questions live. So the more interactive you want this to be, the more questions you can ask. It's rare to have an opportunity to have this many of the faculty under sort of one roof. So please do put down anything you can think of, and we will answer as many of those questions as possible. After that, I'll be covering some of the sort of open courses and a reminder about the application. And then if there's time, we'll do a final sort of short Q&A at the end if there are any final questions to round up. So next slide, please. So we're starting with Graham Murphy, who is covering data science markets. So I will hand over to you, Graham.
Thanks, Matt. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're just going to take a few minutes at the start of the webinar to hopefully get across a message which you're already familiar with, and that is that there is a significant demand in the employment sector for those with data science skills, and the jobs that are out there are good quality jobs. So the first slide here is just showing you a consistent and high demand, although there are I would say peaks and not peaks, peak areas of high demand and very high demand shown on the chart across a number of years now, but showing persistently several thousand open positions with data science tags on them. So the demand is there. If we could move on to the next one, please, Naomi. Then what we've got here is within those listings, we're trying to look at what's the level of qualification and expertise for your average data science position compared with the employment market as a whole. And as you might expect, data scientists on average, the roles are looking for higher levels of qualification. So about 3.5 times as many data science roles need some form of degree education, and the multiplier becomes even higher if you look at roles that are looking for MSc level qualification. 7 times as many data science roles there compared to all listings combined. So there's demand for data science jobs, and those jobs are skilled roles. And then on the next slide, we can see that because they are skilled roles, they're well rewarded. The high bar on the left there is aggregating salaries that go beyond the end of the chart. So there is a tail on this chart to this data range, but even in the middle of the chart, some excellent earning opportunities for those entering this area. And the last slide is really just to get across the variety and the interesting areas that you could be working in as a data scientist. I'm sure many of you are already working in these sectors, so some of this should look familiar. You might see yourself on this slide represented across those sectors, but it's very varied, wide range of applications, because the analysis of data and the conclusions based on that analysis is of interest across the board, really. So that's a brief overview of why data science is an interesting area. And we're going to move on and tell you a little bit now about our program, and specifically the 3 first modules that you'll meet on the program.
So next we will be handing over to Dr. Hassan Izanlud to discuss programming for data science. So Hassan, if you could please come off mute.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome to this webinar. So programming for data science is one of the first modules you will learn about in this course. This course is including 6 units, and basically in these 6 units you will learn basic and fundamental concepts in programming, with focus on Python programming, using Python in using and working with data, and it is designed for students who have no background in using Python, and it is designed in a way that everyone can learn from the scratch and enhance their skills in Python programming. And if you go to next slide, yeah. And in each unit, including mini video lectures, readings, and Python lab activities, where you can apply what you learned during the reading part in action by practicing some everyday life examples and put them in application using Python. And each section will end up with, you will do some quizzes to make sure that you understand the activities and all the concepts within that unit. And it's a very interactive course. You will have a discussion forum within the Coursera, and you can put all your concerns or discussions regarding the course materials within that, and you can discuss the materials with your classmates, with a module leader, and we'll respond to your inquiries as soon as possible. So we regularly check this discussion forum, and also you have access, you can easily send us direct emails and we'll reply to your questions. And after week 3, you will have a midpoint assessment, and by the end of week 6, you will have one mini project, doing a mini project, choosing a topic or a data set that you like on your choice, and then apply some of the techniques and things that you have learned during these 6 weeks. And yeah, the next slide, please. And we expect the students to be equipped with fundamental concepts or learn the fundamental techniques regarding Python programming, which you will use them and apply them in later modules, in the upcoming modules. And the key focus is on learning various tools and techniques which are available in Python, and there are many libraries and many nice practical, let's say, programming tools which you can easily apply in your daily work, basically. And next slide. Yeah, the great things about this module as well as the other modules is that so you will have during the 6 weeks you are working with enthusiastic and experienced tutors, and they are accessible and available anytime that you need them. And the course offers flexible arrangements for studying, including, as I said, discussion forum, direct email, or video lectures, so in an engagement way. And you will have interactions with your peers, your classmates, as well as the esteemed and tutors during the course. And Unit 1 is available as an open content tester to see how it works and how you can set your own pace to study the course materials, basically. And you can always contact the DS team 24 hours a week, so they are always contactable and available for replying to any inquiries about the course. So the first in the first round of the program, we received very positive feedback from students that they enjoyed the course materials and the contents, and it was easy accessible and easy to follow course materials. And as I said, it is designed for, we consider students with zero background in programming, especially in Python. And so you will learn everything from the scratch by your own pace during 6 weeks. And by the end of the 6 weeks, most of the students were confident that they learned new things and they enjoyed the techniques and tools that were introduced during the course. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Thank you. And now our next speaker will be discussing statistical methods. So we have Dr. Leonid Bogachev. If you could please come off mute.
Okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, hello, everybody. I'm very, very pleased to introduce this second module in the first carousel, Statistical Methods. Can you move to this first slide, please? So this is part of a new online program, and all modules have been newly designed and tailored to this particular program, Data Science / Statistics. And this module comes with a very kind of central role because it's foundational. It provides grounding in statistics. And this is divided into 6 units as every other module, 1 week per unit. And the titles of the units are shown on the screen. The first is just to explain the general role of statistical models in data analysis. Why statistics? Why can't we just do data analysis? Why do we need deep knowledge and understanding of the principle of statistics? The second will be introducing, in a very efficient, quick way, probability theory, which is the underlying foundation of statistical models. The third unit will discuss estimation of parameters, which you use to model your data generation. The fourth unit will be discussing hypothesis testing and decision-making in the presence of uncertainty on the basis of statistical data. The fifth unit will be discussing a slightly different view on estimation through the interval estimation, and also the important element of model checking, because just fitting a model is not good enough. Good statistician data analyst will look at whether this model makes sense to a particular data set. And the final, last but not least, Bayesian methods will introduce a relatively new approach to statistical analysis, where you are able to add your prior knowledge and any individual beliefs about the model, which will then be corrected through the data collection and analysis. As Hassan explained, delivery is involving a range of techniques and methods through introductory videos, readings, which are chunks of theoretical material with examples, kind of mini lecture notes, then regular worksheets with model solutions, RStudio labs. In this module, we'll be using R, statistical software, very flexible and powerful, extendable. So this is the main tool of statisticians in addition to Python. So you will benefit from learning basics of R computing skills. And of course, quizzes, which will give you a taste about how you are progressing with the knowledge, whether you understand things. These quizzes are not graded, and you can repeat them as many times as you want, and they will come with full feedback. So it's not only yes or no, correct or incorrect, but the feedback will also give you a hint about what would be the right answer and why. I must say this is a very engaging design. So I was really, I didn't speak about the previous slide, bit of the slide. Can you return? Yeah, just for a moment, It's about engagement. Engagement, as Hassan was saying, is going through many avenues, through announcements, peer discussions, discussion forum, weekly webinars, and students can contact the tutors through many channels, through discussion forum or through the digital education service channels. And these questions are monitored regularly and responded in real time. Next slide, please. Yeah, the central question, which I was asking myself, why are we so proud to present this program, and in particular this module? Why is it special? Why should you choose it? Well, to me, the answer is obvious. It was specifically designed and tailor-made for this particular program. And why statistics? Because statistics is key. It's instrumental for training the next generation professional data scientists. And we are kind of working under this motto: statistics is the art and science of learning from data. And this is key. It's not like you are equipped with some technical tools and you are trying to use them whenever you can, or you are just empirical and you are only using histograms just to see how visualize data. No, it's kind of the two sides together. It's the art and science, and we will be developing these skills in our students. And this is really a unique blend of foundational generation, grounding in statistics, solid basics in methodology and skills, including statistical computing using R, ample real data examples for motivation, illustration, and practice. And I can probably say a deeper than usual blend of theory with practice. This might be kind of a differentiator of why this program is unique in its own right. So this module presents you some deeper than usual approach to statistics, that you not only learn how to use techniques, but you understand the principles and the limitations of these techniques, so you are more prepared to be creative in your everyday job. Okay. That's it. Yes, it's a great student experience. I have enjoyed the first cohort interaction very much. It's very lively. Students keep asking me exciting questions, very interesting questions that sometimes require me to learn a little bit more than I knew before. And hopefully it's the same for students. So I believe this is a rewarding experience, and I'm looking really forward to seeing many of you in our class later this year. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And next up, we will have George, who will be talking about exploratory data analysis. So if you could please welcome Dr. George Mbeyi.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me? All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Dr. George Mbeyi. So I'm talking about exploratory data analysis. Next slide, please. All right, so to two basic focus of exploratory data analysis, EDA. One is to give an introduction. We understand that some of our students may not have studied statistics in their undergrad, and doing an MSc program that involves statistics may be a bit challenging. So exploratory data analysis, EDA, it kind of brings an introduction to basic knowledge of statistics. And for those who had statistics and their undergrads, who probably for quite a number of years have not had anything to do with academics, probably may have forgotten some of the basic things in statistics. EDA is more like a refresher course for those who had statistics as their first degree. And the second focus of EDA is to explore various avenues of knowing our data. One of the key things, or one of the key focus of a data scientist is to produce meaning out of your data. So in EDA, the focus is all the techniques that's involved in knowing your data, how to explore your data, how to analyze your data, what are data types, and everything about data. And like I said, it gives a foundation knowledge to other complex modules that will be coming earlier. And EDA, everything about EDA is all about characterizing your data, what is the appropriate tool to use when you have a particular data type, are all the tools good to use in all the different data types. So these are the things that the EDA will be looking at. And at the course of the EDA, we're also making use of our statistical package to give it a blend of data science in that. And like my colleagues have said, the module is divided into 6 units, each unit for each week, and the topics for each of the weeks, as you can see on the slide. So all about exploring data. We're looking at how to explore our data graphically. How do we explore our data numerically? How do we explore count data? How do we explore measurement data? How do we identify relationships in data? How do we identify structures in data? So EDA is all about making sense out of your data. And like my colleagues have already said, we have an interactive weekly webinars. We also have a discussion forum where the learners and the tutors will always engage. And we have videos, recordings, and the live webinars are also recorded and made available for those who are not able to attend the live webinar. They can always go back to it and see what happened. And at the course of the module, we have some few hours to learn. Here we call it prepare, to read the lecture material, understand what it's all about. You have some few hours again to apply them by taking quizzes, taking some lab work and all that. And there's another level to consolidate where you are involved in some research, some minor assignments, and the discussion during the weekly webinar. Next slide. So in a nutshell, in the EDA model, what are you expecting, or what would you be expecting when you join us shortly later this year? We'll be looking at data visualization and misleading graphs. Most times we'll see adverts, we'll see so many information being presented using graphs and charts and all that, but the information there are not always correct. So how do we identify that a graph or plot is misleading? We'll be doing some probability calculation using some statistical model. Then we are going to look at how do we select suitable statistical model given the data type that we have. How do we validate our model, and what are the implications of data transformation? Like we said, EDA is all about working with your data, and we'll also have time to look at other issues around understanding and using your data. So it's my pleasure to welcome you into University of Leeds, and I'll be happy to see you as we together embark on a journey in the world of data science. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your sort of updates on the modules that will be studied. So if we have the next slide, please. So we've just sort of met the people who we have on the webinar today. Does everyone want to just come off camera for a second and just sort of say what your function is within the university? Because I'm not sure we've covered that. So if everyone would just sort of do a 30-second introduction of themselves, and then we'll get some questions underway. So Graham, should we start with you?
Yes, thanks, Matt. As it says on the slide, I'm a teaching fellow in the School of Mathematics. I'm also the program lead for MSc Data Science Statistics.
And we'll hand over to Stuart next, the only person we haven't yet met.
Hi, my name is Stuart Barber. I'm currently working on writing one of the later modules in the program, and as well as being the head of the Department of Statistics in Leeds.
And George, if we could have you next, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Dr. George Bay. I'm a lecturer in statistics, School of Mathematics in University of Leeds. Thank you.
And Leonard, if you could be next.
Hello, my name is Leonid Bogachev. I'm reader in probability at the Department of Statistics. A reader is kind of equivalent, more or less, to associate professor. I also have interest in data science. I'm proud to have been a Turing Fellow for a couple of years. And also, unexpectedly, I was a co-founder of a commercial entity, a spin-out at the University of Leeds, which is called Forextra Technologies Limited, which are specializing in forecasting extremes in non-stationary data streams. Thank you.
And Hassan.
Hi everyone again. I'm Dr. Hassan Izandu. I'm a lecturer in statistics at the School of Mathematics, and I'm the module leader for programming for data science and for machine learning, which is another module.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. We've got a couple of questions already in, so we'll start with those. But if anyone has any questions, please do put them in the Q&A chat box, as this is a great opportunity to answer any questions you have about the course. So first question's from Ola, and it's aimed at Graham. So all I want to know, the statistics quoted in your slides, are they for the UK?
They're not just for the UK, they are international statistics, but without checking exactly which regions of the world they cover, I'm not entirely sure, but they're not just UK statistics.
Thank you. Also, we have a poll which just come up with a couple of questions on, so if everyone could please answer that poll, that would be really helpful. And the next question, actually, I'll send this one over to you as well, Graham, as we do cover this in the second half of the webinar, so we might not need too much information, but who can join this program? Who's this program aimed at?
The program is available to as wide a range of potential students as we can make it. We have different entry routes into the program to facilitate that. We have a standard entry route, which is for students who might already have some background in mathematical or statistical disciplines, perhaps in their undergraduate degree, whenever that was. But we also have a performance-based admissions route, which we might touch on later, which is designed for students from less mathematical and statistical backgrounds who can join the program, show us that they can be successful and progress as any other student would. But as you say, Matt, we might say a little bit more about those routes later. But we want to open this program to as many students as we reasonably can, I think, is the philosophy.
And the next question is, what is the final project, and are there any practical elements to it, and how many words is it? I can throw that one over to Stuart.
Thanks. So the final project it is not so much like, if you like, a conventional master's project, which is a very long single document. This is intended more to be a portfolio of data analysis work. It is still finalizing the exact details, but it'll be a guided data analysis in the sense that there'll be a framework within which to work, but within that framework, a lot of freedom for the students to decide exactly how to tackle that.
Thank you. The next question is, what programming languages will be taught, and do students need any prior knowledge? I think Hassan covered some of that within his talk, so if Hassan wants to take that question. I know R was spoken about, but are there any others? So what programming languages will be taught, and do students need any prior knowledge?
Hi, everyone again. No, the main programming languages that they will learn during this course is R and R Studio, working with R and R Studio. And for programming for data science and machine learning and some other modules, it is Python. So basically, they will learn Python and R programming during these courses. And there is no prior knowledge in either of those is required. The course are designed for those who have zero knowledge in programming skills or using Python or R Studio. So there is guidelines for each activities, and they are not alone. They will they have access to anything they need to learn new skills and new concepts in programming. So there is no need for having prior knowledge.
Worth adding there that you mentioned as well, Hassan, the flexibility of the structure within the modules, because we know that some students will be coming to us already with knowledge of Python or R, and some students even with some working knowledge of both. But I think that just means that you can use that knowledge to approach the learning materials flexibly. So you might progress faster through some areas of some courses with your existing knowledge. So we don't assume anything, but we also know that students will be coming with some knowledge, and that just gives you added flexibility to tackle different parts of the content according to your own abilities.
Yep, and in the last run, there were many of students were professional Python users.
Yeah.
But still they learned they learn new things about existing libraries and other techniques that they were not aware of during the course. And the webinars, live webinars, is again a nice environment, interactive and engaging environment for students to exchange their experiences using Python if they have experience using that. Again, in those webinars, we learned a lot from each other. So about the capabilities of Python programming.
Thank you. And the next question is, what student support will be offered and how much access do learners have to tutors and lecturers? I think Leonard covered some of this within his talk, so I can put that back over to him. And then if anyone else has any further answers.
Yes, as I said, there's a lot of interaction, and students are making a lot of proposals, suggestions, sometimes corrections, very interesting questions, often related to real data situations. So this is really exciting. And these 6 weeks felt like a very lively exchange, and the DS, Digital Education Services, were heavily engaged and involved, and they were providing the connectivity. So I'm really pleased and kind of rewarded by this experience. And what I sense from my students, it's really a great experience for them. So hopefully they will pass their assessment successfully. We are just in the middle of marking the final assessment. So happy to answer any further questions to explain any further details about our great experience.
I think as well as the in-module support that Leonid is describing, the ways that you can get in touch with the tutors, the way that you can live interact with the tutors through the webinars, or discuss things with your peers on the discussion forum, as well as that in-course support. There's also a layer of course support outside of individual modules, where you'll be assigned a personal tutor, someone like myself or one of the other panel members who's experienced on the program and can catch up with you at key points through your journey to see how things are going. And then more than that, I mean, you will be a University of Leeds student, so you have access to all of the university support mechanisms that are available to all of our students. Much of that is available online, so there's no difference from on campus and online students in that regard.
Thank you. And the next question we'll put over to George, which is, how are the modules graded and what format do the assessments take? I'm assuming that may vary module to module. So if it's different for other modules that aren't the one George is discussing, then we can always sort of jump in with that as well.
Yeah, we'll see that there is a sort of common, a unique or uniform mode of assessment. There are two assessments, assessment 1 and 2. Assessment 1 comes at the middle of the module period, say week 2 or week 3. And basically it's depending on the module, but it's mostly MCQ questions and numerical questions. Then assessment 2 is a combination of MCQ questions and free text questions. Some module will require you to write a short essay, some module will require you to write a mini project, while some will require you to just show your knowledge of understanding of that module by having to write some things in a free way, unlike you have in the MCQ. So the assessment 1 has 20% weight, while assessment 2 has 80% weight. I think that's that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, George. I think it's the reason that we want students to have a short and kind of quick to complete assessment in the middle of the module, so that you can kind of very quickly get some feedback on how your own understanding is progressing. The main assessment, as George explained, comes at the end of the module, and it can be variable according to the content of the module. Some are much more hands-on and practical, some are more on the theoretical side, depending on the content of the module. But we try to have that structure so that you know there'll be a mid-module assessment, and then I'll be preparing for an end-of-module assessment. And within each course, we'll try to give you, as early as we can, a brief on what that assessment is going to look like. So there shouldn't be any assessment surprises along the way, even though there might be variety of assessment.
Thank you. And actually, I'll give this one to you again, Graham. But how do you arrange the webinars if students are in different time zones? So what's sort of the layout for the webinars?
It can be challenging with students who are all over the world. Our current cohort is spread geographically. We attempt to choose a time zone which is a compromised time zone that will suit most sides of the world. If we imagine the UK, if we think of ourselves as the middle, then our students could be east or west of us. So we try to pick a PM time zone in the middle, in the UK time, which is attendable for students across the world. We have tried to, we'll consult with our students on what the best time might be. And if we have sufficient volume of students, we might look at different webinar timings. But I think the short answer there is we do our best, and we always record and share the webinar, so that if it's been a particularly busy week at work and you miss the webinar, you don't have to worry about that too much. It'll all be recorded. You'll be able to experience the live interactions that others have had, and maybe that answers your question, or maybe it will prompt a question that you can then ask offline.
Thank you. And now that we've sort of had a class starting, you've sort of said a couple of times about sort of students on the course. So from your experiences, what are some of the positives for students who are outside the UK choosing the MSc from the University of Leeds? And I'll put that over to Stuart. I know that's probably not the right one because you're doing an end of the course. So that's probably one, again, best for yourself, Graham.
Yeah, well, I think it's, I think why would you want to take a program from Leeds? I think this program, you can look at that in a couple of ways. You can look at what are we doing to build this particular program, and then you can look at Leeds as an institution. I mean, we've again recently been rated as a top 100 university in the world. We're a research-driven UK Russell Group university. Lots of our research output, including in the area of statistics and data science, is very highly rated. So we have a pedigree as an international academic institution. And then we've taken that and used our expertise to develop this program in partnership with not just the colleagues that you're speaking with today are all from the School of Mathematics, but the program's offered in partnerships with the Leeds Institute for Data Analytics. That's an institute in Leeds which is purely focused on data analytics applications that are solving problems in the real world. So we're bringing that in via the project elements on this course, and we're putting it all together to offer what we think is a unique blend of giving you data science skills, but also giving you the understanding that Leon had mentioned is so important of the statistical underpinnings of the types of analysis that you might already be doing in your job, but maybe it's a little bit of a black box at the moment. Maybe you want to be able to push and twist and test the boundaries of certain techniques, and it's only with the understanding that we want to give you in this course that hopefully you'll be able to free up and really push your analysis to the next level. So lots of different types of reasons there, but I hope that gives students a feel for why we think this would be a good program and why we think we're well placed to offer it.
Thank you. And in terms of job readiness, how do you feel this differs from boot camps? I'll put that out. So, Graham, you look like you have an answer there. So.
Well, a boot camp, in my mind, the boot camps that I have experience of assisting students through have always been fairly short-term training, whereas here we're looking at an MSc, an in-depth qualification that you complete over 2 to 4 years, depending on how quickly or slowly you want to tackle it. I think we can offer a depth of understanding and time to bed in that understanding that you don't necessarily get, certainly from a single boot camp or from a series of not quite related boot camps. We're offering a cohesive program of study across several years, which I think is different and at a higher level than boot camps, which might be addressing a particular skill or a particular topic very intensively in a short amount of time.
I'd also say from the bootcamp side, I think that the other thing with boot camps is that people tend to pick the parts that are of particular interest to them. So if someone wants to learn Python, they learn some Python. If someone wants to learn some R, they can learn some R. But with something like a master's, you have an overall arching sort of, rather than sort of liking A, G, and Z of the alphabet. So you go for 3 boot camps that cover those particular things. On a master's, you have to go all the way from A to Z and tie it all together, giving a much more sort of cohesive education as well. And is there, upon graduating, is there the possibility to pursue a PhD at Leeds University? I'll give that over to Stuart.
Thanks. I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I mean, this program is quite similar to a MSc program that we offer on campus. It's not exactly the same, and certainly some of those students have gone on to do PhDs. I'd say that it's not the primary aim of this program. We're more aiming this at data analytics and statistics as skills to use in a career, but it's certainly possible.
And also, someone's asked, can they do more modules and can this course be completed in 12 months? I'll go with Graham again for that one.
The current course spec, the way that it is designed and structured, there is a pace to the delivery of the teaching. It's the calendar of the teaching which will control the delivery of essentially how fast you can get through the program. So it's designed for 2 years as the fastest one, where you don't take any breaks and you're learning consistently. I think what we find is that our courses are, I think it was addressed earlier on, answering one of the questions in the chat, they're 8 weeks long. 6 of those 8 weeks is focused learning, and then there's time at the end for the assessment before you move on to the next module. I think our view would be that one module in that intensive delivery mode is going to be enough for most students who are also probably working or perhaps doing something else alongside to be getting on with. The hours workload is similar to what our students would be doing on campus in a degree where they're taking multiple courses at the same time. Here we're doing short and intensive courses rather than long and thin ones. So the short answer is no, we can't do it in 12 months, but hopefully that longer answer gives you a feel for why it's maybe sensible to try and aim for the 2-year time horizon.
Thank you. And would any of the tutors be able to give an example of a project for that module and its content, or is the requirement for the projects quite broad? I'll give that one over to Leonard.
In my particular module, we are not operating on the project basis. We are, for example, our assessment is more focusing on the more traditional ways like multiple choice question assessment or free text questions that require students to show their working. But you can treat, for example, there's a lot of activities in RStudio. Each and every one of them can be looked as a mini project. So it's not just a routine exercise just to practice your skills, but in many cases, this is exposing you to some real data, and you are left with kind of making inference from this data. So this looks like a project to me. And this is a great kind of benefit of this course, that it's training you to face and think about the data, real examples, and look around what you can do with this data. But this module is probably not the best example of project work, so maybe some other module leaders can say more.
Oh, would anyone else like to jump in? So just to reiterate the question, would any of the tutors be able to give an example of a project for that module that and its content, or is the requirement for the project quite broad? And also for the final project, I guess that's kind of might be what's being got at, if the final project is quite broad or if it's quite.
Yeah, I might ask Hassan to tell us a little bit about what the students do at the end of the programming for data science module. But before that, I think that there could be quite different things that you might be doing in that project style. So looking at your project module towards the end of the degree program, that really will be a mini data analysis project where you're working on producing an output in a communicable form about what techniques you've employed to analyze that data set, what you could conclude, the challenges that you faced, etc. Within a particular course that's teaching a particular set of tools or a particular set of techniques or covering some particular theory, if it has that more coursework type element, then it would be, I think, fair to say a structured project. So the assessment is going to be guiding you through using particular techniques to attack a problem, but in a quite structured way, because it is a short-term assessment. So we would want to throw students into something which is completely open-ended and very, very amorphous and unquantified for an assessment. That wouldn't be the idea. But Hassan, maybe you can say a little bit about what the programming assignment is for students at the end of programming for data science, to give some flavor there.
It is not a specific. So again, as Graham mentioned, it is a guided assessment. So you have a very clear guidelines how to do the assessment or how to accomplish it. For programming for data science, students selected a data set on their own choice, and then they were required to apply some of the techniques and write a Python program to do a specific task on their own choice, which is within the Python programming and the skills that they have learned during the 6 weeks. And again, it is up to them which technique or which libraries to work on. So it's completely on students to choose whatever they want to work, but it should be within the framework of what the course offers to them. And then there is a template available for them to follow those guidelines that I mentioned earlier. So they just upload the final report that they have done and the analysis they have done on the data set that they have selected to work on. And so the marking, what we mark is their final submitted Jupyter notebook that the template is available for them. And for example, one example is how to build a decision tree for a classification task using a given data. So they choose a data and divide the data into two sections. One section is training the data set, the other one is treated as a test data set. And then they write a Python program to build this decision tree and how to classify these data into different categories based on the data they have chosen. This is one easy example of one such project. And but it's totally up to students what data set to choose and what techniques or what methods to apply to analyze the data that they have chosen for completing the project. But as I said, a Jupyter notebook template is available for students. And the only things they need to do is just select a data set and then select the techniques or methods that they have learned during the 6 weeks, and then apply those and prepare and submit the final Jupyter notebook on Coursera for marking. And then they will receive individual feedback for their report.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the next question, as Statistical Methods is run by Leonard, this might be a good question for yourself. But I've been asked the question, is this course suitable for people who do not have a background in mathematics? So from running the course, people who have weaker maths, how do they find the course?
As I understand, there's a variety of backgrounds in my current class, and people cope successfully, and mathematical demand is not really high, just algebraic manipulations, elements, basics of calculus. That's not much that we are going into. The theoretical foundation in this module is actually quite deep, I would say, sometimes going to real proofs or at least sketch proofs, but these are optional. And if people are interested, then there's some information for them kind of to feed their curiosity. But on a standard level of digestion, I wouldn't say that you should be worried too much about kind of lack of specialized training in mathematics. No, we just operate on kind of more realistic level. So we teach everybody who is keen to learn. That's what I could say.
I think that's exactly what our performance-based admission route is for, where we're asking for just applicants to have a Bachelor of Science degree. It doesn't have to be terribly maths heavy or an equivalent qualification. I think they can't necessarily get away from some mathematics, but as Leon says, we think a lot of students can cope with this, and we want to give those students who even don't have much of a background to the chance to prove that they can learn the skills and that they can progress with us on the course.
Thank you. And the next question we've got, are we, as the students, are they responsible for gathering the data for analysis of the data for the Python projects, or are you given options of data sets to choose from? I guess that question is quite specific, probably module to module and data set to data set, but I
think the answer would be sometimes we'll ask students to find some data and have a look at it, and other times we might provide data sets where we want to maybe perhaps focus the assessment on something else that isn't on the data wrangling side.
Thank you. Coming down to the last few questions within the last few minutes. So I think we'll do one more question and then we've got some sort of closing outside with some dates and things to remember. Would you say this is a good course for students wanting to do it to go into financial data analysis and the development of financial methods?
Well, I'll let others comment as well, but I think the philosophy of this course is not to necessarily prepare you for a career in a particular sector. It's to give you the skills and tools to be a data analyst, a data scientist, and to use that in whichever field of employment that you want to be in. The slide that I put at the start did mention the financial sector as one of the top sectors employing data analysts. So I think the short answer is yes, but you won't see particular modules and particular courses necessarily focusing a whole course on financial methods or looking at financial data. It's the general skills that we're giving you rather than specific career preparation.
Thank you. So as we've got about 4 minutes left, we did have some other slides to sort of run over, but we sort of run out of time. So Naomi, if you could jump forward about 9 slides, if you keep going a little bit further. That's the one I want, back 1 slide. So really quickly, thank you for everyone for talking today. The applications are currently open. So if you go to our DDP, our degree landing page, Ankit will share a link in the chat now, which will take you through to the landing page. So please click the apply now button and please start your applications. If you could go to the next slide, please, Naomi. All you need to start your application is a scanned copy of your ID. This is really important. Your contact information, including your telephone number, your transcripts and certificates, scanned copies of those, complete your personal statement and English language proficiency proof. So if you could upload all of those, they're the only documents you need. So quite an easy process, and the application is free to apply for. And next slide, please, Naomi. Next slide, please. That's what it'll look like. That's the form. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So of course, 180 credits. It's awarded by the University of Leeds, and it will be a certificate from the University of Leeds and not from Coursera, which is an important thing to say. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I think the next slide's the one I want. So last thing I wanted to say is there are some important deadlines for this course. So the applications are now open. The deadline for applications is July 30th. So you have just over 1 month. So please do make sure you get that submitted as soon as possible. Sometimes documents don't go in, the scans aren't correct. We need additional documentation. People don't provide their proof of English. If you apply on the deadline of July 30th, it will give the University of Leeds very little time to get back and get those documents for you. So the quicker you get your application in, the more chance you will have of success. Orientation will open on August the 19th, and September the 2nd is the acceptance and payment deadline. And the classes will start on the 9th of September. So of everything, applications open now. July 30th is the application deadline, and the courses start on September the 9th. If anything hasn't been asked today, or we haven't answered it because it was quite specific to particular students, then please click the QR code with the dinosaur in. That will link you to one of the enrollment counselors for Coursera, and then they'll be able to book in some one-on-one time to answer any further questions. Ankit, if you could please share the link to the Chili Pepper booking link as well. So either click the QR code or click the booking meeting link, and you'll be able to book in some time. Next slide, please, Naomi. And I just want to say thank you for everyone for attending, and thank you for everyone from the University of Leeds for being with us today and answering so many questions. It's been brilliant speaking to everyone. And good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So thank you all for your time.